I'm going to talk about today is really a follow-on for many of the things you heard over the course of the past few days. It's about being agile, not necessarily doing agile. There's a lot of frameworks out there. I agree with Mike. There's a lot of frameworks. Pick what works, but do what works. So what I'm going to really talk to you about is how to be an agile organization and large organizations. I'll skip through slides because it's not that big a deal. A lot of companies have adopted Agile. The buzzword has been out there for over a decade about doing it. And a lot of them started out with small teams and often started out in small companies that were like, we need to get some product out to market. We need to check and we need to get something fast. We need a feedback. So just similar to what you hear, it's about the customer. So how do we get out there? So we put together small teams and they went and they worked together and they figured things out. They went out to speak to their customers to get feedback and they could iterate. Goal getting, something in there and out to their customers to start driving revenue or solving problems. But what happened is things get really hard. Like in a small company or one group, things are easy, right? You've got a team of 5 to 10 people in there. You work together. Pre-COVID days, people were co-located. So you could talk a lot. You could communicate a lot, figure things out a lot, and solve problems a lot. But when you get into the government, it's a little bigger than a small startup. You have a lot of people. A lot of things are very complicated. If I build something, and I'm going to use something that an example that we all probably can relate to. Does anybody like to work and not get paid? No? Really? So that's probably a good thing. Success in an organization like that is, if you're doing a job, you want to get paid. To get paid, you as the customers of the paychecks, right? All you care about is getting your money, right? But what do you have to do to get that money, right? What does the company that's doing the payroll have to do? They need your information. They need to give you the option of, like, there's an I-9 in the US you have to fill out. They need to know what your benefits are. They need to get the deductions, your taxes. There's a lot that goes on. You care about getting that paycheck, right? They have to deal with your bank. So when you start caring about everything that goes on behind the scene, it's not so simple as putting 5 to 10 people together to build out what the UI is, to say, add what you want as your deductions. There's a lot of different pieces into play that go into that. And that's where organizations start struggling and getting stuck. And that's where Agile has often failed. Because you get there, everybody's fed up, and you throw their hands up in the air and they're like, that's it, this doesn't work, this Agile thing doesn't work. And they come up with different frameworks. And this is why I don't propose any one framework, because then they go, Agile, Scrum, Fall. Like waterfall, the world we started in, worked really well, right? We knew everything we had to do, but we want to be agile, and all different types of strategies come into play. And oftentimes they don't work. You will have a few little things on the side that can be done quick, but when you have something at this enterprise or this large organization scale, it just starts to fail. So what I want to talk about with you today is, how do you get past that? And one of the things you have to understand is, one, it's never done. It's never complete. You will never get to the point to say, check, we're now an agile organization, we could deliver faster. It's a continuous process, because agile isn't something you do, it's something you become, right? It's a combination. And I don't care about AI out there, there's always people involved. And the technology is really, really cool, and it's really growing fast. That's solvable. Getting your people on board to not sabotage what you're doing and to be aligned is going to be, it's usually what I found is the key to failure, but also the key to success. So understand, at every level in your organization, and this is as leaders, you need to own this, is you need to be and create the environment to be an agile organization. So where do you get started? How do you do this? We're still not there, so I hope my words make sense to you without any visuals. So I'm going to walk you through like a couple of steps, and you'll see in the slides this is documented, but I'll walk you through it verbally. So one, get started, right? Think big. You need to think of that payroll system to say, I've got to figure all of this out. I can't just say, I'm going to take money and move it from my bank account to my employee's bank account, because I'll be in trouble with the law, right? And we all work for the government. Who wants to have like the IRS raining down on us to say you're not compliant? So you do have to think big. You have to think of everything you really want to achieve. And one of the things in the private sector is there's a lot of competition out there. And if you don't do it right, somebody else will, and you won't be around in a year from now if you don't. So think big, but start small. So what I've seen success in is start someplace. Find a place you want to start. But as you're getting started, define the outcomes. Why are we doing this thing overall? Why do we want to be an agile organization? If everybody is not allowed, we're getting there, we're almost there. And now I have to figure out how to use this. Now we're gone. So why do you want to be there? Let's align with that team to say, hey, everybody, we want to, now I'm in a totally different person's deck. That's okay. That's okay.
Doing great.
Thank you. Thank you. You always got to be thinking on your feet. I wish I had a joke with me, though, because they would have been better than the ones we heard. So what you need to do is, why are we doing this? Like, what's the outcome we want to do? I am a fan of OKRs, right? It resonates with me. There's a million and one different ways to do what works with you. But really identify, we're doing this, we want to be agile because we want to deliver value to whoever our customer is. And it could be the people internal, right? A customer doesn't always have to be an external customer. In this case, it's you who get paid. You're the customer, right? We want to be agile because we want you to be happy. As employees, we want you to feel like you're seamlessly getting paid. It's not something you worry about. So you do your job. Who's going to be really happy doing their job if after a month, 2 months, they haven't gotten a paycheck? Are you going to go to work enthusiastic and energetic? I am. Oh, nobody's raising their hand. I don't understand that. So get everybody aligned. Let's define, if we do this thing that we're going to start working on, what's going to be different, right? We're going to keep our employees happy. We're going to get things to production. Get that vision out there, get that mission, but also get some quantifiable results. If you can baseline things today, that's great. I don't know if everybody was in the presentation earlier in the week when they talked about the DORA metrics, but time to market, that's a good one. Like, if it takes you, and I've worked with organizations where it would take 9 months to test something, right? That's just a test. So this is, I've done all my development, now I have to test it. That was 9 months. So if I was able to go in there and say, I'm going to reduce the time it takes to go from an idea to production, because if it's not in production, it has zero value to anybody, right? You could have the coolest thing in a non-production environment, it adds no value. So put those quantitative measures. So I'm going to reduce it less than 9 months. I don't know how long it's going to be, too soon to say, but I'm going to make it less. Let's start out identifying, here's why we're doing this thing, and it's got to be meaningful. It's got to have something that everybody around you at every level in the organization is going to want to rally behind. Next thing you need to do is then pick your team. Who do you want to work on this? When you're starting with your first team, you want to be very strategic in who you pick. You want to get people who are motivated. You do not need to pick the people that are like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. You want people who are motivated to at least try something. I've seen the best success with the person who is the biggest naysayer, like, this will never work, I know it's not, but they're willing to try. And the reason why that person is really good to have on your team is it'll push the team to try to sway anything that they're going to say, but they're influential in your organization. They may not have any title or stars, authority, but everybody listens to them. So if you've taken the biggest naysayer and you converted them to say, hey, you know what, this worked, everybody around who may not have seen it, they know that person usually is very negative and finds the things that go wrong. They're going to listen to that person because they're going to see it. So get together a team that can be influential, are motivated, willing to try something, will accept the principles of, we're not going to follow a script, we're going to do what's right, and we're going to try. A team should be everybody, and you've probably heard this before, everybody in that team is all the people and the skill sets needed to get something done, right? In a new product development, it's usually product management, user experience, and engineering. If you're doing modernization, which is what I've spent the past 10 years doing, like large-scale COBOL modernization efforts, it may be more than that. Architecture, maybe a little bit more. But define what you need to get something done. Put that team together. Leaders need to give that team the autonomy, implement servant leadership, make sure that your leaders are there to support them. They're not going to get everything they need to get it done, but at least the leaders will listen. They're not going to dictate, shift it around to say, what do you need and how do we solve it? Get that in place. Then when that team gets started, what they're working on now, just like the mission of why we're doing this of Agile needs to be clearly defined, what that team is doing also. Put together those OKRs. What's the objective of this team? We're going to make sure that paychecks get the payments of your paychecks get done on the day they're due. By midnight, or 12:01 a.m. on the 30th of the month, everybody gets paid. That's our mission. How are we going to do that? Well, that's what the team is going to decide, but get those quantitative results, right? What are we going to do? We're going to have, again, with the DORA metrics, we could go in and say everything. We're not going to have to resubmit something that went live, right? When we put it in, we're going to really reduce the amount of things we have to back out. Or if something should go down, because mistakes will always happen, boy, we're going to get that up fast, right? So put some key metrics in to something. Paychecks, I think nobody gave me I'm willing to do my work as a volunteer. So I'm going to say, getting something like this that's important to people, if you're successful there, people will like it and people will listen. The team in itself, they should continue to focus on those outcomes. If you define it up front, and I'm a big fan of getting everybody on a kickoff, everybody in the room, define it, align, talk through where your differences are. And I think Mike said this in the last talk as well. Get it out there. You may not agree 100%, but at least everybody's walking out with the same, hey, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, and here's the outcomes we're driving for. The team then, as they start working, will continue to work towards those outcomes. You should monitor that so that it's really easy, especially engineering, you see a cool, cool shiny object, I want to work on it. That's okay if you say, one, we're experimenting, fine to experiment, but it should always tie into the outcomes. And the team, if they learn something and those outcomes are wrong, raise it up the flag. So that constant communication with the team and alignment to that outcomes is always in play, continuously. And then communicate. Best ways, there's various ways of communicate. Don't solve on one. Know your organization. Do people, I use Slack. I don't know if that's government allowed. Teams, Slack, emails, whatever works. Know what works and use it. Don't try to force too many changes because then none of the changes will go through. Use the communications. What I found really successful, we've done things in 1 week intervals, which seems really, really short term. And everybody initially is oh my God, what do you get done in a week? The thing is, you get done a lot because you're doing it in small increments. When you do those demos at the end of every single week, invite the right people to it. Doesn't necessarily mean just the team and your stakeholder. If you're doing something that's really cool from an engineering perspective, there's a lot of engineering teams around you. Invite them. They don't have to come, it's up to them. But I've seen, we mentioned Kubernetes, when you're early on, Kubernetes is hard, right? Putting things in containers and working through that, that's hard. Bring the other teams. They're going to want to see what you've done. They're not under the spotlight to say, make sure you do it, but they're going to learn from you. So it's a great way to communicate. If you're doing something really cool from a business and you've gotten something done, invite your business and ask them to invite other stakeholders. Don't be afraid to open the doors, and then the team will listen to that feedback. And then internally, after you do that demo, hey, what did we hear? What did we learn? It could be we're going in the wrong direction, or maybe we learned something that we didn't know from an outsider that we should think about as we're building this out. And once you show that first success, and you will show that first success, you will. I will almost guarantee it with my kids because they're annoying me right now. But celebrate it. Share that out. Everybody wants to be a part of a success story, so share that success story. Again, whatever communication channels you have, if you do town halls, if you do blast newsletters, share that success. Let everybody know. Take pride in the fact that it was a success. Now that comes the hard part, right? Great, I've had one team that did something really successful. How do I scale this out? I deal with hundreds of teams in a division of a bank, right? And that's one division out of many divisions in a bank. How do I scale it out across that? So there's a couple of things, and you'll see some of this in the deck when you get it. But one, create a learning hub. Teams need to learn how to do this. Whatever practice, be it Scrum, Kanban, whatever you want to do, get your teams through the training first. People shouldn't go in there blind, not knowing what to do. Get them through some formal training. But understand, formal training of itself doesn't get you ready for the reality. So bring in the teams, start out, get experienced people to work side by side. Pairing is a model that I know Rise 8 uses. I use it at Pivotal Days. Use that, get coaches in, do both. Really set those teams, those new teams up for success so that when they hit a gotcha, and they will, There's somebody there who can help them not solve the problem for them, but show them how to walk through these problems. So they're really being enabled by doing with somebody with experience. In addition, set up a transformation hub. And what that transformation hub is, I've got 100 teams doing things separately. They're gonna hit things. Oh, am I on? Oh, yay! Now I got to figure out how to go to the next.
You were doing a great job with the slides.
I'm going to keep without the slides because then somebody, okay, I'm going to keep going. Create that transformation hub. And really what a transformation hub, it's a central place of people with experience. I like when I found the best success is when I've done the work and now I go to this transformation hub for 3 months and I'm going to work there. And really what we're doing is we're taking the problems from the different teams and we're gathering it together, because I will guarantee you, you're going to have a lot of similar problems. A lot of the problems that come in is, I need to integrate. Has anybody had, I don't know if we have a lot of engineering, I need to integrate with other systems. I need to integrate with a central data repository, and the DBA won't make changes fast enough for me. Those are common problems. Get that transformation hub in. You start to solve it, and then you spread that out to other people. Create the cookbook of recipes of, here's how we did it. And that transformation hub is the one that allows you to do that. They will gather information. They will create a central repository to help rotate those people in. And that team also then starts dealing with your upper level. So there are certain things that the teams at that level cannot change. They just don't have the authority. They don't have the control. But that's where you have your senior people in your organization. Everything that's being done should be based upon what they need to do, right? When you started out the initial OKRs, it should be aligned with what their missions for the year, for the decade, or whatever it is, that should be aligned. They also need to be the ones to get rid of the blockers that you have, what's sticking you. So that transformation hub would work with the Agile, I call it the Agile leadership. There should be representation at the leadership, the most senior leadership level, to represent your customers, represent engineering, represent security, whatever else you have in your organization that's specific at the most senior level, that team should be Agile. Just like your delivery teams, they have their daily stand-ups, so should this team. What they discuss is what that transformation hub is gathering from all the different teams when they meet with them of, hey, here's a blocker. I mentioned earlier that I been working a lot of like old school legacy COBOL DB2 modernization. This approach has helped to say, hey, we need to implement DDD, because we really need to change the way our teams are structured, right? That's a major change in an organization. How you structure your teams, the roles and responsibilities, that is something top level executives really need to align on, because there's a lot goes behind that. But when you start hearing like, we can't deliver this thing that's so mission critical, I can't get people to get paid on the 30th, they're not going to get paid till the 5th of the next month. They start hearing those problems, they're going to start getting rid of the blockers that's stopping you in there. So I'm trying to give examples, but I know I don't want to run out of time, and I want to make sure you have your break, but I'm happy to talk about specific use cases outside of this. This leadership team start showing success. Start any of these little blockers. Some of the common blockers I have is, I've got a laptop that's about 20 years old. It's really slow. Well, you know what? If you're giving your people the wrong tools to do their job, you're not going to do that. So those are some of the easier things. I mean, they cost money, but those are some of the easier things. Give your people the right tools they need to do. If it's communication strategy, make sure. If somebody's not, start tackling those little problems early for your teams. And again, that transformation hub has been very successful of like collecting all the feedback from the groups and sharing it out. And automate complexity. You're going to hear this too. I think Mike talked about the automate, like I call it the path to prod. From the time you're in your dev environment to you're in production, because nothing matters if it's not in production, automate that. Your security team is going to be so happy when they know every time you push code, every push of that code is gone through your security checks and your scans so that it's not vulnerable, so that if you have an emergency thing you need to get in there, that's not going to stop you. A lot of meetings, they used to have CAB meetings and all these meetings for everybody to look at it. The automation of this gets rid of the need for that. The first time they're going to be a little leery, but once you prove that, like, I'm catching everything before it gets to production. So if there's a problem, when I go to a pre-prod environment, maybe it's QA or whatever, I'm catching it. So I'll never get to the point where production, never say never. So 99% of the time, I'm going to catch something in another environment. So it's really safe and secure. Your CISO will be very, very happy with that. Automate whatever you can, and then your teams can focus on new capabilities, better improvements, making sure that you don't have to wait until the 5th of the month to get paid so that you can feed your family. And then create that culture. So it's all going to be about the culture. If there's blockers in there, if people are going to be your blockers. Make sure people know the value they bring to the organization, right? Every job. When I worked in an office, like I'd make sure the people that cleaned up at the end of the day, gosh, I don't want to go to an office where there's garbage on the floor. I would thank them for when they would clean up. Like they have to understand that you bring value to me because you're bringing a physical environment that makes me happier to work there. I don't want to work when I have to worry about, okay, and this happened to like a few months ago in an office I'm from New York, if you couldn't tell by the accent, walking in the office and all of a sudden you see like a family of roaches walk across. There was no way I was getting anything done the rest of that day because I'm sitting here paranoid. So everybody should have a role and a value. People should understand the value they bring to the organization. If roles need to be shifted, shift the roles around so that everybody is bringing value for what they are passionate about and what they're good at. Combine the two, and it's not, again, there's no quick, you must do this. I think you really need to know your people and provide that culture that people are comfortable saying, hey, there's something else I think I'd be better at. I'd like to give it a try. I have 12 steps in here that you could read, but I'll just, very simple things to just focus on is command control. You've heard that a lot. No, that's not good. There are things that executives need to make decisions, but you really need to. The world of technology is way too complex today that any one person is going to know everything, but your teams will. Are we up there? Oh, there you go. Yay, my last slide. And treat your stars, right? Historically, there's going to be those superstars, and then they're the ones that are burdened with the long days, the emergency. I really, like, my nirvana was, I got called to make sure, I worked on Wall Street, and we did tradings, and I worked for one of the Morgans. I'm not going to tell you which one, so I've narrowed it down to 2. And middle of the night, we had like, a couple $1 billion worth of trades, and something went wrong. So you are up all night. Do you know what it's like to lose $1 million a trade? The interest on that would like bankrupt most people. So that pressure, but they took a few of us that just knew it really well. It's too much pressure on your people. They quit. So you don't want to create stars. Like you want to treat them fairly. You will have the superstars. There's always going to be people who like it and will go out of their way, but treat them fairly. Share knowledge across the thing. Get people who are hire for enthusiasm. People that really want to do something, train them up on the skills they need to do that. Measure people on the outcomes they deliver and their ability to work as part of a team. Feedback, I'm not a fan of the annual review. People should know if you have to do a formal annual review, that's one of the things executives should change, but nobody should ever be surprised at the end of the year to say, oh, you're not doing a good job. Managers, continuous conversation, feedback, let people know, help them, offer that. You want your people to be inspired because they're going to drive your success. That's the cultural shift. Make sure that happens. Celebrate successes, full transparency. Good or bad, let people know what's going on. If you hide when things fail, people will never trust you, and all they're going to know is like, oh, you only talk about the good times. Tell them about failures. Let them know we experimented on something. Yeah, but it wasn't great. Let them know you tried it, it failed, you moved on. Here's how I recovered. What a great success story. I would love to have known when people failed in like parenting, so that when I failed in parenting, I would know how they became good parents. So just overall, share this information. And you can read the rest, but I'm just going to end this because I think I'm at time. Do what works. Like I'm giving you kind of a general playbook about how I've seen success. Every organization is slightly different, very similar, but slightly different, be in the private or the public sector. Listen to your people and then do what works. If it's working, keep going. It doesn't have to be anything we talked about today. If it's working for your organization and you're getting those outcomes that you defined up front, keep it up. Why not? Like keep doing it. If it doesn't work, stop and go into another direction. And I'm going to end on that note.